Hey friends, one of the consequences of making a few videos about Kent Hovind is that they draw in the underpants on their head crowd. If you know your Terry Pratchett, you know what I'm talking about. People whose writing style reveals an unsettling absence of grammar and coherence, who think vehemence is a substitute for thought. So what can one say about someone who leaves a comment with 15, count them, 15 exclamation marks? This is a real comment left here on YouTube, and I'll therefore answer it in this medium. This person is asking a lot of questions and making many bold assertions, so I'll try to tease it apart piece by piece and see if I can extract some sense from it. So first, their opening gambit. Origins has nothing to do with evolution. Stop evolution does not explain life. For one, you must have a mechanism before life. Where did it come from? What the agent? I'll grant him that first sentence with reservations. Evolution is about the propagation with a variation of replicators. So if you wind back the clock 4 billion years or so, it's true that there's an open question about where the first replicators came from. I do have an explanation, though, a general one. It's all chemistry. The first replicators are the product of prebiotic chemistry, and we now are the products of ongoing chemistry. So there's your mechanism, chemistry. That last incoherent sentence reveals that they are trying to link the mechanism to an agent, though, which is not necessary. I don't need an intelligent agent to guide the chemical reaction of 2 atoms of hydrogen with an atom of oxygen to produce water. Similarly, I don't need an agent to tap into geochemical proton gradients to provide an energy source to drive synthetic organic chemistry. Okay, what's next? The brain, the very thing we use to do science, if it was made through NS and random unguided processes, how can you trust it? If I told you your computer was made through random processes, would you trust it? No. Okay, I've heard this fallacious argument many times before. Natural selection is not random. The process that generates mutations and variation is random, but it is filtered through a process that selects for function. So no, I wouldn't trust a computer that is built by randomly gluing together random parts, but that isn't how evolution works. Would I trust a computer that was assembled by 4 billion years of continuous testing of components, gradually accumulated and integrated by mechanisms that only allow functional, or at least compatible, elements to be added? Sure. Okay, what's next? See, somehow we can calculate equations on paper that answers questions about the universe. How is that if it random? To do science in the first place, you have to believe in the intelligibility of the universe. How if it's random? It doesn't work. It isn't random. There are laws and patterns that emerge from their interactions. We can explain the universe without resorting to childish ideas about intelligent agents outside of time and space doing magic. We don't have to believe in intelligibility, just in orderly cause and effect. The only type of evolution we have any proof for is microevolution, which is just a term for adaptation, small changes within a kind. Macroevolution is that all these small changes can make big jumps, which has no proof at all because you know it takes too much time. How convenient. All Darwin observed was microevolution, small adaptational changes like longer beaks in the birds he was watching. The rest of evolution is just make-believe. Again, this is creationist ignorance and abuse of the terms microevolution and macroevolution. They only accept that definition because they believe that they can add that limitation to it, that microevolution goes so far and only so far. Unfortunately for them, that limitation has not been observed and is not part of any microevolutionary theory. We can, for instance, compare the genomes of humans and chimpanzees and see that the only differences arose by their gradual divergence from a common ancestor. There is no uniquely human or chimpoid character embedded in the biology of the two species. Similarly, we can compare a human and a fish genome and see only many small changes in the nucleotide sequences. There is no barrier. Also, I wish this misconception would go away. Darwin had no way to distinguish micro and macro evolution, and he also lacked any valid understanding of genetics or population genetics. He did not hypothesize about microevolution. If anything, he was talking about macroevolutionary processes, such as the evolution of a camera eye from an eye spot. In particular, he didn't measure the changing beak lengths of finches. That was something done much, much later. Are you a reductionist? Most evolutionists are, but there is a problem here as well. I told you to write the word eat on a piece of paper, could you break it down to the physics of the ink to paper? No, because you need intelligence. I don't need intelligence to make marks on paper. I don't need to understand the details of the physics and chemistry of ink interacting with cellulose fibers. Extracting the meaning of the word eat requires some complex cultural background, not a god. Semiotics. Oh, it's always good to add a big word. It carries meaning, same in life. DNA is not about each letter itself, but the order in which it is arranged. A 3.5 billion letter word making us. We live in a language-based universe. In the beginning was the word DNA. DNA is God's code, like a software designer. This is how I explain God. 5 exclamation marks in just that short fragment of his rant. Well, what did Terry Pratchett say about that again? Okay. I actually kind of agree with part of that. What matters in DNA isn't the individual nucleotides, but their arrangement. All we need to do to change the meaning, to overextend the word, is to change the arrangement. A process that is not impeded by any imaginary limitation. Evolution can happen because chemistry permits the accidental rearrangement of those letters, and then selection can favor the more useful variants. I don't think software designers work by changing a single instruction in a program and then running it to see if it crashes. But then I don't use Microsoft products. Can you explain the computer inside the computer? No, the creator is outside the created system, not subject to the laws of that system. Even Richard Dawkins understands evolution does not explain life. Okay, computers are designed machines produced by an intelligence outside themselves. This is true. This is, however, an argument by analogy, and hinges entirely on the accuracy of comparing a computer, a designed object, to an organism which is not necessarily designed. That's the whole issue. Is E. coli designed? You can't answer that by pointing at a computer declaring that it is designed, and therefore E. coli must be too. This is simply the circular assertion that everything requires a designer, not a demonstration that a specific object must have been designed without further evidence. Citing an authority like Richard Dawkins carries no weight either, for 2 reasons. One, I don't agree with Dawkins on many things. This could be another. 2, since they don't understand Darwin or anything about the theory of evolution, I am not disposed to think they have any better understanding of Dawkins' position. Well, I hope all that answers their question, but since most of what they wrote was unthinking creationist dogma, I have a sneaking suspicion that it won't. But that's enough. I'm squeezing this in between teaching a class and grading, so I'd better get back to real work. Talk to y'all later.